replay, you're welcome. And don't forget, you can still tap on the screen for hearts. And if you want any questions that haven't been answered, if you have any comments, you can always find me on Twitter. And you can also find me on Snapchat. Same handle. For everybody else joining live, if you're new to me, my name is joannazarach. And I broadcast on money habits, and I'm almost a mess because it's early morning on Sunday. And I broadcast on money habits 7 days a week. Because why? Because habits are easier to develop if you actually do them every day. Say 100% is easier than 98%. So if you don't have to think about it, and if you're not selecting to, or deciding to pay attention to your money, it's actually a lot easier. So my show is all about creating money habits, helping you develop better money habits by sharing my own habits, what I've learned over the last 20 years, tools, tips, and tricks. And on Sunday, I talk about savoring because here's why. Here's why I talk about savoring, because the goal, ultimately, of getting to financial freedom or financial independence is really to give you the space to enjoy what it is that you're meant for without worrying about how it is that you're going to pay the bills. Being able to put in the effort into something that's important to you and not always putting that requirement that it's going to generate a revenue immediately. And one of the things that I run into, and I think a lot of other people have noticed, is that, we're waiting for that time in the future to pursue our dreams or pursue our purpose. And what I want to make sure that people start doing is whatever your purpose is, you need to set aside some time, like every week, to pursue it. And, you don't want to wait till you're done at the end of like the road to financial freedom. And when you finally get there, right? That's why it's like the FF fund, because you want to give yourself permission to be authentic. Whether it's even within a job system, right, within employment, you're actually much more effective when you feel confident in your stance and in your ideas and how you contribute to other people's businesses, for example, whether it's a small business or a large business. And it gives you that sense of confidence when you know that, oh my God, like if I say this, if I'm truly authentic, or if I truly share my ideas and something happens as a consequence, you're less likely to do it. So the other piece of it is, if you just start practicing whatever your craft is, or your purpose, or your passion, whatever you call it, right? It's the thing that you do and you're like, wow, I'm really good at this, or I'm really enjoying myself when I do this, is that you can also claim your expertise instead of waiting to be recognized. And I think a lot of people think that like eventually that person will come along to see their talent, right? Whether it's, in entertainment or just anything. It doesn't always have to be kind of the spotlight, but we're always waiting for someone to give us permission to say, oh, well, my work will be observed and then I will be picked. And what I want to talk about is like, you can claim that. You can claim that for yourself, because if you practice something, an hour a week, maybe it's an hour a day, it sets you aside because no one else is doing it, right? No one else is doing that with a level of consistency and being persistent in trying to achieve it. So when you get to do something for an hour a day and you get to 100 days, right? So with a third way into the year, you are now an expert, and you can proclaim yourself to be an expert, because you should look around and say, wow, no one else is doing that. Or if you find other people that have done it, say, they're like 10 people that are in my immediate surroundings that are better than me at that, but I'm really good, and I'm going to claim this expertise. So I'll give you an example of what I did. I've been on Periscope since October, and I really didn't do a social media before that. But there's something about the media of Periscope that's really appealing to me. And I think that Periscope's great, and I think live streaming is going to become more and more popular because it gives us a sense of connection. Hi, how are you? Gives us a sense of connection that that doesn't happen. Hi, Minkas of 127. It doesn't happen in other media. Like Facebook's been known to be isolating, right? Like you don't really get that interaction. And with live streaming, whatever the platform may be, you get a lot more connection with people. And so one of the things is that like, and someone else was talking about it on a different Periscope yesterday, that like very few people relatively to like our whole existence even in the US are actually using Periscope like regularly. And so even being on Periscope is not that common. And then broadcasting on it is even less common. So having like broadcast more than 100 times by now, because I committed to it and I did it every day. I was like, hey, I'm a Periscope expert. I'm not the Periscope expert. There are people far more expertise on Periscope than I have, but in the surrounding, like everyone I know, everyone I come in contact with in my day-to-day life, I am a Periscope expert. So I'm actually going to be speaking on Periscope in April because I just decided, you know what, I'm an expert at this, and I pitched a speaking engagement. And I'm not like, this is not what I want to do. I talk about money, right? But just to give you an example, like if you do something regularly and you're consistent in it, then you become the expert and you can claim that. So don't kind of think of your dreams. Oh, hi from Russia. Yes. And don't think of your dreams as something that you're going to do one day in the future when everything else is resolved. If it's truly your dream, start practicing now. That's the idea. And that's going to be a motivation for you too, to get to that financial freedom, to make the sacrifices that'll put you in a position where you say, you know what, I can actually commit more time to it because I have freed up my time from just the I gotta pay the bills kind of mentality to say, no, I've carved it out and I've been practicing, so I know that this is really meaningful to me, and it'll drive you to it. And you start thinking about jobs differently. I know some people think of your job as like an investor into your future and someone that's paying you to be able to work on that because it's only it's only taking 40-50 hours a week, and you have that other time, especially if you don't have other obligations. You have that time and really harness it. But if you do something regularly, and if you're dreaming of doing something, don't wait till you're like, oh, when I get enough, or when I'm established in this other thing, and maybe then I'll start doing it. So the idea is to start doing it now, whatever it is. And even if you stumble, even if it's just if you don't feel like you're being recognized right away, I say pursue it. And then the financial freedom it'll motivate you more to get to that level where you can devote more time to it. So that's it for today. Just talking about the, when you're savoring what you have, but it's also motivation to build and to commit to building your financial freedom and building the funds for yourself, and following the habits and the practices that'll get you there. And so I will be here tomorrow morning. So back to workday, we'll talk more sort of workday topics of how to do that. So if you're not following me, you can follow me on here. I'll be here tomorrow, 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. Monday. And again, during the week, we talk more specific things. And next week, I'm going to be covering a couple in the afternoons. I do a couple money matters. So I haven't decided exactly what I'm doing next week yet. But there might be another thing about taxes because it's tax season. So I feel like we really need to cover taxes more in depth. Oh, I know, business ownership, because that comes up a lot. So I'm going to talk about business ownership and finance. So I'll do one of those topics next week, Money Matters, and I'll do one other one on tax returns. So thanks a lot for joining, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. every single day, 7 days a week, Central Time. I'm on here, and then I'm going to do 2 Money Matters in the afternoons next week as well. So a total of 9 broadcasts at the very least that you're going to get next week. So thanks for joining, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.